So I'm reading Vogue, the April issue. You can check me. And I get to the horoscope part, and I read it, and it says, "Do something different this month, Virgo. Go wild. Get your hair colored." And there I was, and I couldn't wait to get home and tell Jay, see, astrology is real. It works. So I've had to rethink my position about visioning. Mostly because over the last several months, I have talked to enough people and heard enough stories about the success of the visioning process at the individual level and the level of organizations that I am astounded. And so I want to be part of this wonderful way of coming together in consciousness and facilitating the coming true of dreams. In fact, we're going to have an opportunity, as was mentioned earlier, to do that here. We're having our first ever congregational visioning at CSL Fremont, and I hope everyone will stay and join us for that afterwards. It's going to be absolutely lovely. So I want to acknowledge a wonderful practitioner by the name of Ray Jordan, who authored a visioning manual. And I want to thank her not only for her contribution to the organization, but to me personally over the last week as I've been educating myself about this approach. So visioning is a process of deep listening. It allows us to attune to and activate the highest vision for our lives. When we vision, what we're doing is inviting divine insight and revelation. We're asking our true self to make itself known to us consciously. We mindfully establish a sacred space to commune with the divine presence within. This type of visioning is done typically in a group setting, and as I said, we'll be doing that today. And the beauty of this process, from what I understand thus far, is the synergy and the inevitable connection between our personal vision and the vision of our spiritual community. And after all, that's why we're here, isn't it? So to support each other and to learn and to grow together along our spiritual path. When we come together with others of like mind and we get in touch with our highest self and the truth of us, it's so lovely to share that with others. So in this arena, we acknowledge the divinity of every person involved. We do that naturally here on a Sunday morning. This is a little more deliberate. We honor the validity of every person's revelation, including our own, and there's no room at all for judgment. I remember 3 or 4 years ago, a dear friend of mine who's a colleague went to a retreat and she participated in a visioning process, and she came back and told me about it. She said, "I visioned a Mercedes." And what I said to her was, you know, that's great, but what I wanted to say was, really? Is that the best you can do? You know, get a real vision. Do you think God actually cares what we drive? And that was very judgmental. So if that happens to you today, if you vision a Mercedes, vision one for me while you're at it. But there's no judgment, because our vision is what God already knows about us, for us, what's already accomplished in mind, making itself known because we enter into this space of deep listening. So whether you are consciously aware of it or not in this very moment, your vision is already so in mind. It's already created. It's already complete with everything necessary to its manifestation. And I really encourage you to get in touch with that. Prayer is one way to do that. Visioning is a way to do that. Many people find meditation helpful. Studying relevant literature goes without saying, and we do that a lot here in all kinds of different ways. What about journaling? Anybody journal? Okay, and there's chanting. Sometimes just experimenting with a new technique opens our consciousness up that much further in a way we haven't known before. So spiritual practice is very important. In the June, July, and August issues of Creative Thought, Dr. Jen Claypool has a wonderful 3-part article about spiritual practices. And I know I'm predicting the future, which I am actually able to do very well when it comes to what we're publishing in Creative Thought. So when the time comes, I encourage you to buy those issues and read Dr. Jane's article. She's an excellent, excellent writer and has lots of good advice on spiritual practice. What are some of the practices you all find effective? Give me a shout out.
Meditation.
Okay. Meditation? Singing. Affirmative prayer? Anybody chant?
Yeah.
Journal?
Communing with nature.
What about yoga? Who does lots of different things? Okay. There's Linda dances, right? Yeah, okay. Great. So no matter what your approach, I always recommend working with a practitioner. Above and beyond and on top of everything. Work with a practitioner because a practitioner is someone who is an ally for us, the most important ally we can enroll in our vision. He or she is committed to knowing the truth for us no matter what is happening in the moment. They can easily see our highest and best self, right? Regardless. Okay? Because sometimes we forget who we are. We forget about oneness and we fall into duality, and that's okay because it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody, but it's crucial that we do whatever it takes to bring ourselves back to center, back into the mindset of unity with God, because unity is the key to manifesting our vision. In fact, it's only through unity that we can actually depend on God. Now, remember earlier I asked you about dependability and why Ernest Holmes put that in there and why it might be important. So we're revisiting that point now. The notion of dependability of God is inseparable from the truth of unity. On page 432 of the textbook, Dr. Holmes writes, "When we perceive the unity of good, we shall perceive it in its entirety, an undivided whole. We must cleave to the good and trust absolutely in the law of God to bring about any desired end. Spirit will mold our purposes when we allow it to do so. As we learn to depend more and more upon the perfect law, we shall find that the outward things which are necessary to our good will be provided." There are two key points in this excerpt. The first is, Spirit will mold our purposes when we allow it to do so. We are not talking about a God outside of us telling us what to do, okay? This is infinite intelligence within us, revealing itself to the extent of our receptivity to it. The second one is, the outward things which are necessary to our good will be provided. Everything necessary to our good is already provided. It's already created in mind. It's simply awaiting our acknowledgement of it and our receptivity to it. It's already ours by right of consciousness. It's already established in mind. So, what do we do from here? We articulate our vision. We get in touch with what it is. Some of us already know. For some of us, it's ever expanding, and maybe there are those of us who have not done it up until this point. But the truth is already there, waiting for us to get in touch with it. There's a wise and wonderful teacher who just left the room a few minutes ago, and he's fond of saying, our dreams are what? Waiting for us to come true. Our dreams are waiting for us to come true. Our vision is a divine idea whose time has come. What is your vision? What is your vision? Whatever it is, it's the truth, and it's absolutely wonderful, and so are you, and so it is. Namaste. Thank you.